revealed my heartwarming journey of discovering the unexpected truth about my wife's affair. And Jake had always been the kind of guy to roll up his sleeves and get dirty. He wore grease-stained jeans like a badge of honor, knowing those marks came from long hours at his garage. He adored Emma, his wife, as he adored their kids. The laughter in their modest home felt perfect. They were the model family in their town, 2 kids, a backyard alive with laughter, and neighbors who admired their strong bond. Until that ordinary Tuesday came crashing down around him. It was just another day when he found that receipt tucked between a sugar jar and a note to himself about oil changes. The name of an upscale restaurant jumped out, one he could never afford to take Emma to. Confusion rippled through him just that morning. He'd been joking with their son about setting up a lemonade stand to save for a new swing set. A desperate chill settled into his stomach as he felt that gnawing suspicion creep up. He confronted Emma, the expectation of honesty heavy in the air, but instead, he was met with defensive walls rising like a barrier he couldn't breach. "What is this, Jake?" she shot back, hurt and fear mingling in her voice. The light that once sparkled between them flickered, exposing layers of disappointment he hadn't seen before, and there it was, the sinking feeling like a lead ball in his chest. Hadn't they shared dreams? Wasn't love supposed to be filled with unshakable trust? The walls around him felt insurmountable, the foundation of their lives trembling. He couldn't help but replay every joyful moment, the sweet kisses goodnight, the night spent by the grill under the stars. Had it been real? Or was it all a fragile facade? At the barbershop later, he sat among men who shared tales that painted their lives in triumph, but all he felt was a deepening sense of inadequacy. They would never suspect the storm brewing in his heart. Jake questioned his worth, feeling the weight of expectations crushing him, a provider who couldn't even keep his own home together. Then came the unearthing of emotions, raw and painfully exposed. Emma's affair wasn't only about her feelings of inadequacy. It was his too. The pressure of small-town life had been stifling. As insights filled him, indignation bubbled fiercely. How could they have been caught in this cycle, running circles around one another? It felt almost inevitable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Time slipped through his fingers, and as a community picnic loomed closer, Jake stood at a crossroads. He felt the weight of unresolved pain even amid the laughter that surrounded him. Could love really survive such deep betrayal? Emma's eyes found his across the crowded lawn, and in that moment, hope flickered, shaky and fragile. Could they really rebuild from this? The answer hung heavy in the air, leaving Jake at the brink of transformation, vulnerable yet hopeful, as challenges awaited just down the road. Jake felt an urgency in the pit of his stomach as he watched families drift by, their laughter ringing with a cheerful innocence he could no longer access. Each smile reminded him of the hollow ache that followed him like a shadow. Children tugged at their parents' hands, excited for cotton candy and games. He wanted to join in their joy, to power through the uneasiness clawing at him, but the thought of Emma overshadowed every effort. Taking a deep breath, he made his way to a table near the edge of the bustling scene. The crisp air brushed against his skin, momentarily grounding him. He didn't want to face her, not yet. He needed a moment alone to process the swirling chaos of feelings. His mind flickered to their history, the trips they'd taken, the plans they carved out, new families formed over shared meals. The memories now felt tainted. Emma walked over to him, her body language closed, arms folded tightly. She looked hesitant, almost scared, like a child preparing for a conversation with a disappointed parent. "Jake," she started, voice trembling slightly. "What do you want me to say?" He interrupted, unable to keep the strain from his tone. "You've reached it, haven't you? I can't give you what you had with him." The bitterness dripped from the words, and he cursed himself for the harshness, for making her a villain in a story that was their own. "I never meant for it to happen," Emma rushed to explain, desperation in her eyes. "It was a moment of weakness, but it didn't just happen, Emma. You made a choice." The words burst from him, fueled by anger, hurt, and disbelief. The weight of his love seemed unfairly heavy now. But amidst the sharpness of conflict, a flicker of understanding flared. He stepped back from the brink of emotional outburst. "I just don't know how to deal with it. How can we fix this?" Even as he said it, a part of him questioned if they could. Emma's expression softened, and within her gaze, Jake detected a wave of regret. "I know I'm messed up. But I can't lose you. I love you, do you?" His challenge hung in the air, a knife poised between them. Silence stretched, punctuated only by the buzz of nearby conversations and children's cheers. He wrestled with his own doubts, feeling the ground beneath him tremble. Each heartbeat felt like a tick of a clock, counting down the moments to a decision day. Could love survive, even after betrayal? As if sensing his turmoil, Emma reached for his hand. Their fingers brushed. It sent sparks of electric feeling coursing through him. It was simultaneously comforting and alarming. They had a long road ahead. No more secrets. "Can we promise each other that?" she asked, her voice steady now. It cracked slightly, revealing her vulnerability. He watched her, taking in the woman he had once shared everything with. That eye-catching laugh, the casual way she leaned against him as they watched their kids play. Was he ready to dismantle the walls they had built together? "I want to believe we can," he said, breath hitching in his throat. "But what if that isn't enough?" As he spoke, a small group nearby burst into cheers, igniting an array of bright fireworks across the evening sky. The pop and crackle mirrored the explosion of emotions in Jake. He turned to Emma, searching for reassurance in her eyes. Did they still have the strength to fight for each other? The uncertainty loomed larger than ever, just when he thought clarity might emerge. Before he could respond, another family approached their table, eyes wide and faces full of delight. The moment felt tender yet bittersweet, a reminder of the innocence they were battling to preserve. "Hey, have you two tried the pie from Millie's stand? It's to die for." They laughed, blissfully unaware of the heavy hearts opposite them. Jake's chest tightened as he exchanged glances with Emma. Could they truly push forward and carve out honesty from the ruins of their betrayal? Would they dare to explore the depths of their relationship again, or was the journey of rebuilding too fraught with pain? As laughter echoed around them, the chilling tension faded momentarily. But deep inside, the real question remained. Could they summon the courage to face themselves and each other, or would unresolved wounds only deepen the chasm between them? As the last of the fireworks faded, Jake realized the answer lay no longer in the sky, but in his heart. One way or another, a reckoning was on the horizon. Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, a mix of uncertainty and a deep need for connection. The laughter of the nearby family washed over him like a tidal wave, pulling at the strings of what they used to share. But now, there was a seam running through it all, a fracture that felt impossible to mend. Emma's fingers had slipped away from his, and he caught the flash of pain in her eyes. "Jake, please. I need to know if we're going to try." Her voice trembled, carrying the weight of vulnerability so palpable he could almost taste it. He stared at her, searching for the glimmer of hope hidden beneath layers of hurt. The bright colors of the fair blurred around them, fusion of laughter and life feeling like an affront to their standoff. "I want to," he admitted, the words feeling like a fragile thread, "but how? Where do we even begin?" The hint of a smile flickered on Emma's lips, a small spark amidst the chaos. We talk. We be honest, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. She stepped closer, her voice softening. We need to tear down the walls we built together. Suddenly, her fervor swept him along, as if he were being pulled towards something essential, something they had both forsaken in the wake of her betrayal. But what if our honesty just exposes too many ugly truths? He countered, anxiety curling in his stomach like a coiled spring. What if it breaks us even more? Emma's gaze steadied on him. Then we'll face that together. Because hiding only makes it worse, Jake. It's not just about love, it's about trust. The determination in her eyes ignited something in his heart, although he wasn't sure if it was the hope they could rebuild or dread of what that would demand. Children's laughter erupted closer, a group spinning round in circles, their joy electric. It made the contrast to his heartache sharp enough to cut. What would it feel like to return to that innocence? He longed for it, and yet his path felt tangled with every passing moment. He took a step back, creating space to breathe, to think. All right, what is our truth then? He asked, his voice heavy but firm. If we're stripping back everything, where do we start? With this, Emma took a deep breath, eyes bright with renewed determination. Let us start with that night, the night it happened. I'll tell you everything. No holding back. A knot twisted tighter in Jake's chest, but he nodded. Okay. His voice barely escaped his lips, thick with the weight of what was to come. For a brief moment, they stood together, charged with anticipation. The world around them faded, leaving only the delicate balance of fear and faith. Before she could speak again, the shrieking laughter of a nearby child jolted them back to reality. A young boy raced past, kept flapping, and for just a moment, Jake's heart lightened. The chaotic energy of the fair felt distant, yet oddly welcoming, a reminder of what they had once seized with reckless abandon. Let us find somewhere quieter, Jake suggested, his mind racing. We need some space to sort through everything. Emma nodded, her hand brushing against his again. This time, the touch felt less tense, more like a tentative bridge. They started toward a quieter part of the park, navigating the maze of lights and laughter. As they walked, Jake's stomach churned with all the words they hadn't yet spoken, the revelations that awaited them. Would the truth bind them together or push them apart? Could they find a new way to love and trust after the betrayal? As they reached a shadowed corner of the park, a lone bench looked inviting, yet it felt more like a precipice. He could hear the sounds of the fair, dulling as they neared the quiet. This was it. The moment of truth was looming. He could feel it in his bones. Are you ready? Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake stared at her, heart racing. What lay ahead could either be their salvation or their undoing, and all those thoughts collided in a thunderstorm of emotions. But as he lifted his gaze to meet hers, a fierce determination ignited within him. I guess we're about to find out, he breathed, aware that both of their destinies hinged on the next few moments. In this space between them, a reckoning was inevitable. Jake sat on the bench, the wood cool beneath him, an unsteady ground for the upheaval ahead. Emma's presence beside him felt electric, charged with the power of unsaid words and heavy secrets. He could feel every thump of his heart, each pulse echoing louder than the distant sounds of the fair, a stark reminder of the chaos outside their world. Emma exhaled, her breath shaky, eyes shimmering like deep pools of water ready to overflow. Okay, that night, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't just one moment. Jake leaned in, fighting against the haze of panic swirling inside him. What do you mean? She clasped her hands together, knuckles whitening. It started weeks before. There was a distance between us, something unspoken. I thought maybe if I just got lost in the day-to-day, I could ignore it. But I couldn't. His chest tightened. The anticipation felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. So you turned to someone else? Emma nodded slowly, tears glistening in her eyes. At first, it meant nothing. Just a friendship. But it spiraled. I thought I was escaping the pain, the loneliness. I wanted to feel something again. Her voice cracked. I never meant to hurt you, Jake. I was so desperate to be seen, to be loved, that I lost sight of everything. I didn't he think. Feels like a knife twisting deeper. Did you love him? She flinched, biting her lip. The rawness in her expression stung. No. I thought it was love. I wanted it to be. But it was empty, just a shell, a facade of what I thought I needed. You were always the one my heart wanted. Jake shifted, wanting to recoil from the pain yet struggling to stay present. So why tell me now? Because I've hurt you so deeply, and I can't keep running, she replied, tears spilling over and tracing paths down her cheeks. I owe you the truth. I want to embrace the consequences. I want to fight for us. A part of him, wrapped in anger, screamed to end this conversation, to close the door on anything resembling connection. But something else, something softer, pulled him back to her words. Fighting for us, that sounds like there's a chance. Jake, she said, her voice cracking again, I want to be the person you remember, wholesome, caring, loving. The one you fell for, not the woman who betrayed you. He swallowed hard, emotions clashing inside him like waves crashing against rocks. And what if I can't forgive? What if we just end up deeper in this darkness? Emma reached for his hand, threading her fingers through his. Then we will figure it out together. I can't change the past, but I want to make every moment of the future count. One step at a time. The words wrapped around him, offering a glimmer of light seeping through their shared darkness. He wanted to believe it, to trust her again. But fear tangled with hope, leaving his heart in turmoil. Can anything change? He asked, his voice almost lost in the thickening air. It can, she insisted, her grip tightening. But only if we both work at it. There's a road ahead, Jake, but we have to walk it together. He nodded, mind racing. Could he really step forward with her again? Or would the weight of her betrayal keep him chained to the past? As they sat in silence, the echo of laughter and life from the fair crept back in, distant but still faintly exhilarating. Jake stared ahead, uncertain about the journey they were about to embark on. And then, almost as if sensing their fragile moment, the lights in the fair began to illuminate the dimming sky, vibrant shapes swirling in colors that felt like they were pulling at his soul. Emma's voice was soft, laden with another secret just waiting to unfold. What is it? He asked, heart pounding again, a different kind of fear seeping in. I have to tell you something I've kept hidden even from myself. The tension thickened, the next moment teetering on the edge of revelation. He leaned closer, unwilling to shy away now. What was this truth going to reveal? Jake, Emma said again, her voice trembling, it's about why I strayed. She paused, searching his eyes, as if seeking refuge from the storm gathering between them. I thought I'd lost myself. I thought I could never feel whole again with just us. The wooden bench creaked under the weight of their conversation, the sounds of the fair now a distant hum, buried beneath the urgency in the space between them. What do you mean? He asked, the words barely escaping his lips. Emma squeezed his hand harder, as if hoping to anchor herself, or perhaps him. It was like being in fog. I loved you so much, but I felt like I was disappearing. I didn't know how to talk about it. I thought pushing you away would protect you. Jake's heart thudded. Protect me? By breaking us? Exactly. I convinced myself that if I cut ties, if I hurt you first, then I wouldn't have to deal with the fear of loss. I thought it was better for both of us. Her voice was thick with emotion. But each day, I felt my heart shatter a little further. Then why not come to me? He pressed, searching for answers, for clarity in the mess of feelings. I was scared, she admitted, her head hanging. Scared you wouldn't understand. Scared of losing everything. She hesitated, taking a shaky breath. When I met him, it became an escape, a way to feel the things I thought I'd lost with you. But he wasn't real. It was you. It always has been you. The air shimmered with unspoken truths, hanging between them like a delicate spider's web, each strand heavy with memories, hopes, and fears. Jake struggled with a tightness in his throat. If you felt that way, why didn't you trust me to help? Because I was drowning in my own insecurities. I thought I had to hide my true self from you, protect you from the chaos inside of me. Her voice cracked again, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. But I realized now that hiding only made everything worse. The part of him that wanted to push her away faltered. Here she was, opening up in ways he didn't think possible. But trust, once broken, didn't just heal overnight. And what if I can't open up again? He whispered, vulnerability creeping into his tone. We'll do it together, she said firmly, her eyes fierce despite the tears. You won't have to bear it alone. I'll show you my heart. Please, let us take this step together. The honesty was disarming. Jake felt his defenses waver. What if he could let the past go? What if they could navigate the rawness of these feelings together? Emma, he said, letting the possibility hang in the air. The energy shifted. He could feel it sparking between them, stripping away layers of tension. A loud cheer erupted from the fair, jolting him from his thoughts. But he didn't look away from her face, illuminated by vibrant lights, shadows flickering like their uncertain future. Can we really? He asked softly. Together, we can, she replied, her voice steady as if she were laying the foundation for everything they had lost. Jake took a moment, allowing the words to sink in. Could they really rebuild? The thought was overwhelming yet exhilarating. But before he could respond, Emma's face shifted with a new intensity. There's more, she said, the urgency thickening in her voice. Something I need to share. Something that could change everything again. His stomach churned with apprehension. What now? The moment stilled, the weight of what lay ahead heavy in the air, a cliffhanger that dangled between hope and fear. Jake, she whispered, eyes wide with a truth she was almost too afraid to voice. His heart raced as he leaned in, the world around them fading, leaving only their uncertain future teetering in the balance. What was she about to reveal? Emma drew in a breath, her chest rising and falling with the weight of her next words. I didn't just stray, Jake. It's more complicated than that. When I was with him, I found out something about myself. Tears shimmered in her eyes, like glass, reflecting both pain and vulnerability. What do you mean? His voice was steady, even as his heart raced, fearing the answer. I discovered that I might be pregnant. The word slipped from her lips like a fragile whisper, but hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jake felt the ground beneath him shift. A rush of confusion mixed with disbelief gripped him, tightening his throat. Pregnant? With him? Emma shook her head quickly, her brows furrowing. No. I don't know whose it is, Jake. I didn't even know until a few days ago. I wanted to tell you, but I was terrified. What if this puts an end to everything? What if you can't look at me the same way again? Her voice cracked, each syllable wrapped in fear. A sick feeling churned in his stomach. You should have told me sooner, he said, though he could hear the wavering edge of pain in his own voice. The good, the bad, how could they unravel it all now? Reality clawed at his heart. I thought maybe it was best to wait. To see if it was real, if I was really pregnant. I didn't want to instill more chaos without being sure, she pleaded. Jake's head spun as emotions collided, anger, fear, and that glimmer of hope for understanding. You don't get to decide what I can and cannot handle. I deserve to know immediately. The edge of his voice turned sharp, cutting through the haze of shared vulnerability they had just begun to build. I know, I know, she replied, panic rising in her eyes. But now this changes everything. I felt trapped trying to make sense of what I did, what I became, and in this I didn't know how to face you. The noises from the fair that once seemed distant now felt almost invasive, a celebration of normalcy that clashed with the turmoil of their reality. Children shouted with delight on rides. Laughter danced through the air, while the torment between them felt pulsing and endless. Emma, we can't ignore this. We have to figure this out together, he said, softer now, as he reached for her hand again. But where do we even start? I don't know, she admitted, rubbing her palm against her face, as if trying to wipe away the weight of her choices. I want to be honest, I want us to heal. But I am so scared of losing you. I'm scared too, he confessed, his grip tightening around hers. But your fear, it echoes my own. What if I can't forgive? What if I can't be the man you need me to be, especially now? There was silence, a pause filled with the unsteady thrum of unspoken possibilities. Emma's gaze dropped as tears brimmed anew, threatening to spill. Then I will accept my fate. But I'll fight for you, Jake. I'll fight for us. I promise you that. Her words hung painfully in the air, a flame of hope flickering amid the shadows. It clashed against the fear of all that lay ahead. But even as they clung to each other, dark clouds loomed overhead, a pulse of uncertainty looming large as the silence stretched, waiting for clarity. Together, promise means something different now, Jake murmured, holding her gaze. What if the truth changes everything we thought we could be? The question tumbled from his lips, heavy with what-ifs, as they stood on the precipice of their tumultuous journey. Yet what if this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one fraught with pain yet bursting with unexpected connections? What if, Jake? She whispered back, the flickering trepidation in her eyes urging him to continue. As he pondered her question, the weight of their reality pressed on him, each breath carrying the heavy burden of their next decision. The path ahead loomed unclear, but one thing was certain: with each truth revealed, they had a choice to make. Could love endure the storm that began from this very moment? Jake's thoughts swirled like leaves caught in a whirlwind, struggling to settle amidst the chaos. He looked down at their intertwined hands, the warmth of her touch now tinged with the coldness of uncertainty. He could feel the tension coiling deep inside him, like a spring waiting to burst. It was hard to believe that only hours ago they had been laughing, sharing dreams at the fair, wrapped in a blissfulness that felt like a lifetime ago. Let us just go somewhere quiet, Jake finally said, his voice softer now. We can talk, really talk. Emma nodded, moisture gathering at the corners of her eyes. She wiped them away hastily, a gesture that felt both defensive and desperate. Together, they maneuvered through the crowd, the bright lights of the fair now blurring into a backdrop of swirling confusion. Past the cheerful rides and cotton candy stands, they found a small, secluded bench tucked away beneath the sprawling branches of an old oak tree. Once seated, silence enveloped them again. The sounds of joy and laughter seemed like an echo of another world, one where everything made sense. Emma took a deep breath, biting her lip as she looked at him. Thank you for not leaving, she whispered, her voice trembling. Jake wanted to tell her it was because he loved her, but instead, he simply nodded. In that moment, love felt heavy, tangled in fear and doubt. What if this child, if it existed, was the anchor that would pull them under? Have you thought about what you want? He asked slowly, the question hanging between them like a sword. I don't know, she confessed, her voice breaking. I'm scared. I thought I understood what love was, what it could be, and now I'm lost. Lost? That word struck a chord deep within him. They were both lost, navigating through shadows born from betrayal and secrets. Jake felt a sudden rush of emotion, anger, betrayal, yet a flicker of compassion for Emma's pain. They sat on the bench, eyes locked, wrestling with truth, while the world continued to spin wildly around them. I wish things were different, Emma said finally, her voice barely a whisper. I wish I could tell you that everything is going to be okay. Jake sighed, rubbing his temples in frustration. I need to know the truth, Emma. I need to know if you see a future for us past this. She hesitated, her brow furrowing. I want to believe in us, Jake. I really do. But I can't promise you love when I don't even know what I want anymore. As the miles of uncertainty stretched before them, Jake felt the chill of fear creep up his spine. Was there a way back from this? Could their broken pieces meld into something whole again? They both jumped at the sound of laughter nearby, a group of kids racing to the Ferris wheel. For a brief moment, the innocence of their joy shattered the haze around Jake and Emma. Maybe this baby, Jake said slowly, is a chance for something new. Something we can build together, starting fresh. Emma searched his eyes, hope and skepticism battling for dominance within her. Can we really start fresh? After all of this? Yes, he proclaimed with an urgency that surprised even him. If we're willing to face this together, if we can let go of the past, we may just find a way forward. Emma smiled for the first time, a cautious but tender curve of her lips that sparked something deep within Jake. In that moment, they shared an understanding the road ahead would be treacherous, but perhaps it also held the potential for healing. But before they could dive further into possibilities, the air was thick with one glaring truth. They weren't out of the woods yet. The repercussions of Emma's past still loomed, an unease swirling between them, like a dark cloud waiting to rain. Do you truly think we can forgive? Emma's voice trembled again, the question a haunting reminder of what lay ahead. Jake took a deep breath, realizing that even as they took steps toward possibility, this journey was just beginning. What if the biggest truth was yet to be revealed? Jake's heart raced as he contemplated Emma's question. Forgiveness felt like a mountain out of reach, but as he looked at her face, he saw a fragile hope shining through the cracks of her pain. He wanted to believe in the possibility of a future not defined by past mistakes, but rather by the lessons learned along the way. The laughter from the fair faded into the background, replaced by the heavy reality of their conversation. He ran a finger along the smooth wood of the bench, feeling the weight of what lay before them. I think we have to try. Forgiveness isn't a straight path. It's messy and complicated, but maybe that's where we start, he said, his voice steadying as a sense of purpose washed over him. Emma blinked, her eyes searching his for sincerity. And what if trying breaks us more? Her voice was a mix of fear and vulnerability. What if it's just a reminder of everything that went wrong? Jake swallowed hard, grappling with her words. Look, I know what you did hurt. It shattered everything I thought I knew about us. But a child could also remind us of the love we can still have, something worth fighting for. He could feel his chest tighten as he spoke, the weight of his own hope mingling with the risk of disappointment. Emma wiped her eyes again, her breath shaky yet filled with determination. You really think it can work? That we could find a way to be happy? Happy isn't a destination. It's a process. It'll take time, Emma. We'll need to talk, really talk, about everything, the affair, the doubts, the fear of failure. We can strip things back to the raw truth of who we are and what we want. A flash of gratitude passed over Emma's face as she nodded slowly, the light of understanding illuminating her features. You're right. We can't run away from it. I need to face everything if I'm ever going to move forward. They fell into a heavy silence. The whispers of the fairground surrounded them, but they were shielded in their own world, shrouded in uncertainty and hope. Jake squeezed her hand, feeling the warmth of connection seep back into their fingertips. How about we start right now? He suggested, his voice brave yet tender. Tell me everything, the fears, the regrets, the moments when it all went wrong. Emma looked deep into his eyes, a tremor of courage threading through her as she prepared to speak. It all began with loneliness, Jake. She began. She revealed the deep scars of her past. Jake listened intently, every word resonating inside him. Each confession felt like bricks being laid down, painful yet necessary to build a more accessible future. Her voice danced around the pain, revealing how isolation had driven her to someone else, someone who seemed to offer comfort she thought she'd lost. Soon, tears mingled with the dust of their unraveling. Her honesty was like a breath of fresh air. It cleared some of the fog that had clouded their lives. The revelations hung in the air, raw and tender. But even as they delved into the depths of their truths, the specter of doubt loomed large. Jake realized that honesty could only take them so far. There were still questions unanswered, and the shadows of betrayal weren't easily chased away. "Can you promise me something, Emma?" Jake said, catching her gaze once more. "Can you promise that we'll lean into this together? No matter how hard it gets." "I promise," she said, her eyes shining with a mixture of fear and hope. "But I can't promise it'll be easy." He smiled, a small flicker igniting within him. "That's okay. We just have to take it one step at a time." As they sat on that bench, holding onto each other, with the weight of the world resting squarely on their shoulders, Jake found himself confronted by a new thought. What if Emma's revelations weren't the last layer of this complicated mystery? What if there were more truths waiting to be uncovered, truths that could change everything? Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Jake's heart skipped a beat as he pulled it out, half expecting a message that might swirl everything into chaos again. But nothing could prepare him for the words that lit up the screen. "Jake, we need to talk. It's important. I have something to tell you about Emma." The blood rushed from his face. What could that possibly mean? Jake turned back to Emma, his heart pounding, hope and dread colliding in a dizzying whirlwind. "Emma, but what he had to say would change the course of their conversation forever." Jake's voice faltered, caught in a tidal wave of uncertainty. He stared at Emma, searching for an anchor in her eyes. Somehow, the light that had flickered between them dimmed, replaced by a shadow of doubt. "Is it someone I know?" he managed to ask. The words tasted bitter, a painful reminder of the betrayal. Emma's expression shifted, the storm of emotion swirling like a tempest inside her. She bit her lip, a signal of the weight of her thoughts. "Jake, just tell me," he interrupted, desperation creeping into his tone. "I need to know." The fair sound swirled around them, yet blocks of silence stretched between them. Every heartbeat felt amplified as if the world was holding its breath. "What if it changes everything?" she said, tearing her gaze away. "Then let it change everything. It can't be worse than what we already faced." The words spilled out, raw and unfiltered. Emma's hands trembled, and she finally nodded, breathing deeply as if summoning courage from somewhere deep inside. "It was Tom," she confessed softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The name hit Jake like a punch to the gut. Tom, their mutual friend. The one who had been by their side through everything. Hot anger boiled within him, merging with the hurt that had been festering since the day he'd found out about the affair. How could you choose him? It wasn't like that, she rushed to explain, her eyes pleading. "It was a moment of weakness. It started as comfort. I thought I could find something I thought was lost. I never meant to hurt you." Jake leaned back, stunned. The memories came flooding in, the laughter, the inside jokes they had shared, the images of him and Tom standing side by side at countless barbecues. "You let it go on too far for that to be true." Emma's cheeks flushed with shame. "You're right. I hurt you. I betrayed our vows, and I can't change that. I understand if you can't forgive me." Jake stared off into the distance, the fairground lights twinkling like distant stars, yet everything felt muted. The rides kept spinning, but he was stuck on a different kind of loop, a ride of anger and pain that wouldn't let him off. "Do you love him?" Tears streamed down Emma's face. "No. It was never love. It was escape. It was never about him, Jake." It was about me not knowing who I was without you. I was lost. How could I trust you? The question hung in the air, sharp and painful. Emma took a breath, the desperation in her voice rising. You can't. Not yet. But I want to show you. I want to work for it, to face the consequences of my choices. I'll do whatever it takes. Her sincerity painted her words with a raw hue, igniting a flicker of hope that Jake didn't want to snuff out. But trust wasn't just a flicker. It was a flame he wasn't sure could be rekindled. The buzz from his phone pulled him back to reality again. Do I respond? He thought, knowing deep down that whatever news awaited him could unravel what little they had started to piece together. Jake, Emma whispered, pulling him from his thoughts. Please talk to me. I'll do better. I want to be better. The weight of her words hung over him. He slowly turned his phone over, staring at the screen. Jake, we need to talk. It's important. In that moment, the choice was his. Was he ready to dig deeper, to uncover what lay beneath the surface, or was it too much? With sweat on his palms, he breathed out slowly, feeling torn yet determined to uncover the truth. I have to know what Tom wanted, he murmured, inching closer to a decision that would change everything again. The air turned tense, every word, every heartbeat poised on the edge of revelation, waiting for the next step to shatter the fragile balance they had just begun to find. Emma, stay with me, he said, feeling the gravity of his next move. We have to face this together. And with those words, he resolved to uncover the truth that could either bind them together or tear them apart forever. What more could Tom possibly know? As Jake pressed his thumb against the screen of his phone, the world around him faded into a dull hum. He turned toward Emma, who watched him with an expression filled with hope and desperation. The air was thick with tension, yet also a flicker of possibility. They had delved into the chaos of their hearts, fear and love mingling like colors on a painter's palette, and Jake was acutely aware of how intricately their stories were woven together. Stay with me, he whispered, the words almost reverberating through the silence. They stood on the brink of a revelation that could either sever the fragile bond they were beginning to rebuild or illuminate a path forward. But first, Jake needed the truth. He took a deep breath, not sure what it would reveal, then texted back to Tom with a racing heart. What is important? Emma reached out, fingers brushing against his, an anchor in the storm of uncertainty. The warmth radiating from her touch sparked both comfort and fear, a reminder of what they fought for and what was at stake. Jake, she started, eyes locked on his, I'm so sorry. Every minute I let this situation linger felt unbearable. Please know, I want you to hear everything. I want to fix this. The sincerity in her voice struck a deep chord, echoing through the weathered walls of doubt that surrounded his heart. I know, he said, squeezing her hand gently. But we need to face whatever is coming. I can't keep going without clarity. Emma nodded, her expression a mixture of fear and hope, a reflection of his own turmoil. Then, the phone buzzed again, jolting them both. Jake hesitated for just a moment before reading. Jake, I have something important about Emma that changes everything. Anxiety surged through him as he felt the weight of those words, realizing this could break them or open the doors to healing. I need to read it, he said, a quiet determination settling in. He could feel Emma's gaze on him, almost pinning him down with unspoken fears. Jake, she began, but he held up his hand, the urgency pushing him to absorb what this might mean. Fingers trembling, he opened the message. I know what happened between Emma and me before all this. The truth is, I was there. I saw you both together that day she thought you weren't around. Confusion and anger clouded his thoughts like storm clouds gathering. He glanced at Emma, but saw her awaiting him, vulnerable and prepared for whatever was to come. Taking a deep breath, Jake replied, What do you mean? In the pause that followed, he could feel the straining silence, filled with unsaid words, heavy sentiments, and unresolved doubts. Within moments, Tom's response came in. "Let us talk in person. There's more. You deserve to hear it from me." Jake swallowed hard as a knot twisted tighter. This revelation weighed heavier than others. "I'm going," he said decisively, breaking the atmospheric tension. "What?" "No." Emma gasped, eyes wide. "Jake, please, don't leave. I need you here to talk, to face this." Jake met her gaze, his heart thumping wildly. "Emma, if I go now, it's to discover all the pieces, everything I should know. I can't move forward without knowing the entirety of our truth." The resolve in his voice seemed to form a bridge between their fear and hope. Emma felt the fear creep in, and for the first time, she nodded, sensing that he needed this, not just for himself, but for them. "Okay," she agreed, and as Jake stood, she added softly, "Just promise me you'll come back." "Always," he said, managing a small smile, though uncertainty knotted in his stomach. As he walked toward the parking lot, the distant sounds of laughter faded further back, but inside, he felt a flicker of hope growing stronger with each step. Every time he looked at Emma's face, intertwining regret and yearning, he reminded himself why this mattered. Love doesn't always mean understanding. Sometimes it means choosing to walk through the fire together, facing your demons head-on. When he arrived at Tom's car, the energy crackling between them felt electric, the unspoken words ready to ignite. They exchanged tension-filled glances, and Jake felt an odd sense of urgency to hit back at the heart of the truth, to lay bare everything that had been hidden. "What do you know?" Jake asked, his voice steady. "Everything you think. Emma didn't want to hurt you, but there's more at stake than you realize," Tom replied, and that set Jake's heart racing again. As they spoke, a clear picture emerged of all the misguided intentions and actions stemming from misplaced fears. The release of information washed over Jake, piece by tender piece, and somewhere, deep inside, an ember of forgiveness ignited. The conversation flowed like water, guiding Jake to an understanding that was both painful yet liberating. What had felt insurmountable slowly unfurled into something resembling clarity, edging them towards healing. The truth, painful and raw, was the end of everything, but perhaps the beginning of a new chapter littered with lessons and the potential for genuine connection. Eventually, he returned to Emma, the colors of twilight swelling through the sky. Their eyes met, and he realized life was always changing, swirling with uncertainties. Yes, but the path forward was built on the foundation of honesty and choice. "I talked to Tom," he said simply, the weight of the world lifting ever so slightly off his chest. "Did you find what you needed?" Emma asked, her voice trembling in the cool evening air. "I did," he replied, heart racing with cautious optimism. As they stood together beneath an endless expanse of stars, a new resolve blossomed between them. Jake knew the road ahead would have its trials and tribulations, but right now, the trust they were rekindling felt like a flame flickering but alive. "Let us face this together," he said, two hearts promising to navigate this fork in the road side by side. Amidst the laughter and light from the fair, a new beginning was born, not one untouched by pain, but rather one that acknowledged their struggles, their growth, and the unwavering commitment to love deeper, even when it was hard. The night was full of unspoken promises of healing, of understanding, and above all, the courage to cherish a new dawn together, fighting for a love that could withstand the storm. To all of you reading this, if you felt the emotions in this story, then now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories we have waiting for you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending below. Share your own stories of love and transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.